I'm going to show you how to use Deepseek AI or another open source or available LLM with a program called Ollama so that you can write a Python script that interacts with an AI and will let you take external information, like information read in from a file, directly input it into the AI prompt. And because the output of the AI is just a command line interface, or you can output it as a JSON, you could theoretically put this into any Python script you want for any purpose. The first thing that you need to do is go to the website, ollama.com, OLLAMA.com. Once you get to this main page, go to the download section, and then in this case, I'm using Linux, but it's wants you to download Ollama for macOS and I believe for Windows as well. But for Linux, it's just a simple terminal command. So I can copy this, and then I'll just bring up my terminal, Control-Shift-V, and then it will start to download. It's going to be a lot shorter for me. This took several minutes the first time that I downloaded it because it's a fairly large program. Now let's go back while that's downloading and look at where you can find the models that you can use with Ollama. So click on the Models tab. Now there's three of these that I want to show you. The first is the headliner, Deepseek. Now you have to remember with these models, they have three different types of properties that you're trying to look through. The first one is the size of the model. So in this case, with Deepseek, you can scroll down and with this little menu box, it shows you the different sizes. Now the B here stands for billions of parameters. And all you need to know about a parameter is every additional parameter is supposed to bring a more refined model that can more accurately give you what you're looking for and make connections between inputs and outputs. Like with most things, I would assume that there's kind of a diminishing marginal utility. So most people that I've heard say that the 7 to 14 billion model for Deepseek is probably good enough for anything that you practically want to use it for. However, if you do want to download the 400 gigabyte model, I've heard that you can run this on fairly modest hardware. I haven't run it on mine, but you have to understand that all that's going to happen is it's going to give you the same outputs. It's just going to be slower in giving you that output. So in this particular case, I think that I already have the 7 billion parameter model. Now, there's two other attributes that you need to think about when selecting a model. There's Deepseek. The biggest competitor for kind of like the open space that I've seen is there's Minstrel, but Llama 3.3 is the most up-to-date version, and this is the one that Facebook has put out. So if you go to Facebook, you'll see that this has it's got a proprietary license, and looking through the license, it basically says that unless you start a major tech company that is going to rival Facebook, you can use this for whatever you want. The thing that made Deepseek so interesting is that it's under the MIT license, and this MIT license says that you can do anything that you want with it. So that's a second aspect that you need to take into account. Is the model that you're given licensed permissively to do what you're trying to do? For most people in just working on your projects, I don't think that that'll be that big of a deal. Now, there is a third element in that certain models are refined to do certain things. So you can see this Llama 3.3. You can also look this up. I believe it's Llama Uncensored. You can get older models of Llama and of the Facebook Llama. I've heard that Llama 2 is what a lot of people in the AI field are using for their own personal purposes because it's less censored. And somebody even made an uncensored version. And I've checked it out just with trolley responses like, how do I build an explosive or something like that. And, it works for your purposes. I wouldn't suggest this if you're going to do anything too bad, but also I wouldn't suggest doing anything too bad. So those are the three aspects that you need to take care of. So let's go back to the Deepseek model. Now, in this case, I want to download the 7 billion parameter model. So what I'll do is I'll just go down to 7 billion and just copy this. All right. Oh, you can't see, but I'm copying this. So Control C, and then I'll pull up my terminal right here because this just got done downloading. And all you have to do is run llama run and then whichever model. Now, in my case, I've already downloaded Deepseek, the 7 billion parameter model. And then this is very similar to ChatGPT, where I can just ask it a question like, what is the 14th odd number? And it will give you your answer. And the thing that you need to look out for that's slightly different than most of the times when you're using ChatGPT is it will give you these little thinking analysis tags, I guess is the best term. And that tells you that this isn't actually part of the answer. This is how it gets the answer. And then it gives you the basic output. I think that it might be even formatting this in Markdown, but I'm not entirely sure. And then you can say, all right, so what is it? Finding the 14th odd number is, I think it's at 27. It also has persistence whenever you're using it like this. So I can say, take that number, and I'm hoping that it understands that it's 27, and add 3 to it. And as you can see, it's going back and it's remembering what I gave it before, and it should give me 30. This is the real test. Yeah, and you can see it gives me the number 30. It's just going really fast, so it's hard to highlight. And then if I want to cancel this, I just do Control D. Control D. All right. So how do I use Ollama from the command line? The easiest way is I just run Ollama, and it gives me a list of all the available commands. So the ones that I use the most are the run command, which isn't just a download function. So I can run the list command, Ollama list. This gives me a list of all of the installed AI models. So I have Deepseek. This, I believe, I'm not entirely sure what the latest is. Because it's also the 7 billion parameter, but I'm assuming that that's just like the latest that it has right here in this box. You'd have to look deeper into the documentation to know. So in this case, I want to run the Deepseek 7 billion parameter model, or let's just give a better example. I want to run the Dolphin Minstrel 7 billion parameter model. So what I can do here is just Control C, and then I go to Ollama run, and then in this case, it will just bring up that particular model. I think it's updating because I haven't used it in a while. But if you just want to run the model that's already installed, you also use the run command. And then you use the list command for whenever you want to see all the ones that you have installed. Now that we've installed Ollama and we have downloaded our preferred AI model, in this case Deepseek, we're going to figure out how to write a Python script that interacts with Ollama and the underlying LLM. So what you need to do is you need to go to GitHub and find the Ollama Python bindings. So just GitHub, Ollama, Ollama-Python. So if you scroll down here, it's going to say the prerequisites are you first need to install Ollama, and it should be running. And second of all, you need to pull the model that you want. You've already gone over this. Now what you need to do is you need to install Ollama with pip. Now, if you're like me and you're using Linux, you get an error whenever you try to install it with pip. And I just went ahead and used pip anyways. So Control V, install. Yeah, this is the error I get. I've tried to install this with pipx. I've tried to install this with Python. Sorry, I've tried to install this with Pacman for Arch, and I've also tried to use the Yay Arch installer. All of them just wouldn't work. So I'm going to use pip for now. You probably shouldn't, but in case you're going to anyways, just remember to add this flag, break the system package. All right, so now that we have that done, here is how I have this file structure set up. ls. I've downloaded this text file that's just the Bible, and we're going to use this as the text file that we're going to go over and ask the AI model questions about the Bible.txt. Vim bot. So let's look at how this file is set up. And this is set up largely like it wants us to do it in the GitHub. But I've made a few changes so that it's easier for me to comprehend and easier for me to explain the different parts. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to, here, let's compare these two. The example model it gives you uses Ollama, or uses the Llama 2.3 as the example. So in my script, I set the different variables. So in this case, it says model equals AI, and then I've also changed the field right here where we ask it the question. So I just created a variable called question, and I use little f strings. If you're curious about how f strings work, just look up a basic Python tutorial. And so what I do is I use the read file command, and this is just the standard command to read into files from Python. And I read into it, or I read the file into a thing called, or to a variable called file content. And then for convenience, I created another variable called context. And then in the f string, I just add it to the f string as if it was, so in ChatGPT, whenever you're asking it a question, sometimes you'll copy and you'll paste the text that you want it to go over. That's effectively what I'm doing with f string, but this just lets me read in, theoretically any file that I want up here. That's the basic concept. And then I have the other thing that it says is string equals true. Now what this lets you do is you get the output as it processes it, word by word, as opposed to if you don't have stream equal to true, it's going to wait to process the entire answer, and then it's going to display it at once. I just like knowing that the AI model is going to work, so that's why I use it like this. So the question that I asked is go through every verse of the Bible in order, and then tell me the place names and export them as CSV. Give the verse in each place name as it appears. So I'm just going to save this. I've already written this, so if you want to run this, you can just run it like a basic Python file, bot.py. Now you can see that it's working because nothing else appears here, as opposed to if I were to open up a separate one, you'd get another set of arrows. So this is just the thinking tabs. Now I'm going to say from the front, this is not the most refined output. If you want to refine the output, what you would generally do, as far as I can tell, is you have like a series of filters. So there's a video on YouTube where it explains how Apple, in order to create their emoji generator, has you put your AI prompt into another AI prompt, which outputs an AI prompt that you can feed into another AI prompt. So you can refine this model to get the optimal outcome. But this just shows you how to get an output. And if you want to, you can take this wherever you want from here because it's just a Python file. So that's the end of my tutorial. Take of it what you want. If you have any suggestions, I can also show how to do this with a bash script. So if you're interested, leave a comment below.